Hey guys, welcome back to Young Americans Abroad, your best place for weekly content on young American soccer players playing overseas. My name is Austin Van Churn, and as always, guys, welcome to our show. So no Pat again this week. He just got back from England, so we'll give him another week to recuperate. But we do have a lot of players in today's episode we're going to talk about that haven't really been featured so far in this season of YA. So definitely exciting. We had one player over in Italy who finally got on the score sheet with his new club. We also want to talk about, another player who consistently keeps getting starts for a big Premier League team, scoring in the Champions League. And then finally, we want to talk about a player over in France, one of our Yas, who's finally breaking into the first team there and kind of go more in depth of his season so far. So definitely stay tuned because we got an action-packed episode today. So to start off today, we're going to, hit right on that Premier League star, and that would be Christian Pulisic. So midweek last week, Christian started in Chelsea's game versus Valencia. Looked very bright during the game. This was a pretty big game because Chelsea were basically going into the game tied with Valencia on points. And I believe they're also tied with Ajax. So, if they could pick up a point in this game or even get a win, it would really, put them in a good position to advance out of their group in the Champions League. And to be fair, Chelsea came out firing. Christian came out real sharp. I believe right after their first goal, he had a really nice run that cut right through Valencia's defense. It was, making the rounds on Twitter. And, during the game, it was, really impressive. And he set up Mateo Kovacic perfectly for a wide open shot. But unfortunately, Mateo hit it right off the sidebar, unfortunately. So, that was really cool to see from Christian. Really good moments. And, his big moment in the game came in the second half. He helped Chelsea take the lead, I want to say in right around the 50th minute or so. He, did well. Basically, a ball was played into the box from out wide right. And, one of the players for Chelsea headed the ball right back, across the goalkeeper's path. And Christian was able to get a foot to the ball and, have it cross the goal line. And, the play did go to a VAR check, and Christian was, in fact, onside for the play. So, another goal for Christian this year. It seems like the goals just keep coming from him. And, we can't be, any more excited about that. And, this was a big goal at the time. It helped Chelsea take the lead 2-1 on Valencia. And, it really put them kind of in the driver's seat of this game. Unfortunately, they weren't able to finish the job. They ended up drawing with Valencia 2-2 in, what was a very action-packed game overall, not just from, Christian's standpoint, but this game was, a really good game, and it really went down to the wire. So, it was really, fun watching Christian in that game. Definitely was, one of the most influential Chelsea players, I would say, on the day. Some of their midfielders like Kovacic, who also scored in this game, and Jorginho, I believe he played in this game. It might have been Conte, but I know, when we were watching this game, that those three players, the midfielders for Chelsea were very influential in this game, and Christian was kind of their, the player that they were connecting with going forward, and kind of the player who was creating the most, dangerous opportunities going forward. So definitely good to see. And so Christian followed up that 90-minute performance with a start over the weekend. Frank Lampard put him right back in the lineup. He ended up playing 90 minutes, and that was in an unfortunate 1-0 loss to West Ham. So, in this game, I wasn't able to watch the whole thing, just was able to see the highlights. But Christian had some nice moments, especially in the first half, taking defenders on, dribbling through West Ham's defense. It seems like it's something, we've seen it for the U.S. national team, but now we're really getting to see Christian, play with confidence and take on defenders week to week with Chelsea. And, he did a good job of that in the first half in this game. Chelsea went a little quiet in the second half and, unfortunately, gave up a goal to West Ham and then weren't able to, capitalize or put away a chance, in that second half. This was, a disappointing loss for Chelsea. They got a win last weekend in the Premier League, then got the draw midweek, which was, still a pretty good result to Valencia. And then, finished the weekend off kind of on a low note with the loss. But, I think taking away from this game, it was just really good to see Christian, back on the pitch. Basically, Frank Lampard trusted him to go 90 minutes for all 3 games this week, which, is not an easy task, especially playing 2 games in the Premier League and then also a game in the Champions League too. So, those are high-level competitions, and I think it speaks volumes that Frank, really has relied on Christian now that he's, really started to produce for Chelsea. I think it just shows that Frank's kind of put his confidence in for Christian right now and, really trusts him to be that playmaker for Chelsea and, hopefully that goal scorer in the final third. So, I think that's really good. Also looking at that team that Chelsea put out against West Ham, they rested a lot of their key players like Conte. Maybe not even just key players, but players that, have started a lot of games. They've really tried to rotate in that game and play, players like Olivier Giroud, Pedro was on the field. The youngster Reece James actually started this game as well. So it seemed like Frank was kind of changing up certain players in his lineup. And I think he left Christian in there because Christian's been, that consistent playmaker for them. So, definitely, really cool to see and a complete 180 from, 2 months ago where people were worried when Christian was dropped for, the one Champions League game. Very, very good to see. And, kudos to Christian for, putting his head down and working hard and, really coming back from all the criticism that he was facing and, didn't really let it affect his game, kind of let them, helped him take his game to the next level. So, that's basically all I have on Christian. I did want to say now Chelsea sit in 4th after that loss to West Ham. So I believe they're a good 6 points back from 3rd. Liverpool's kind of way far out ahead. And then you got Leicester and Man City kind of fighting it out for the number 2 position. And then, Chelsea are kind of the best of the rest so far, sitting there in 4th. So, they play Aston Villa tomorrow. So we'll see if Christian goes, I believe for his 4th game in about 10 or 11 days. So we'll see. I think I think he'll start. I don't know if he'll play the full game, but I think, like I said earlier, I think Frank Lampard trusts him right now and, really wants him to be on the field because he's been that playmaker for them, recently. So we'll see. And, we'll report back to you on whatever happens in that game next week. So now moving over to a player that we haven't talked about this year, and that would be Andrija Novakovich. So Andrija is over in Italy now playing for Frosinone. And over the weekend, he scored his very first goal for the club. And he also got 2 assists in this game as well. So, quite the game from Andrija. Especially after, really haven't heard much from him this year. So to see him, score a goal and have 2 assists, be the man of the match in this game, very impressive. Frosinone got the 4-0 win over Empoli as well. So, job taken care of, job done. And, looking at his start to the season so far, he's kind of flown a little bit under the radar. He's played in 12 games for Frosinone and has played 589 minutes. So I believe 7 of the 12 appearances have been as a sub off the bench. So, he's been in a lot of the 18s for Frosinone, hasn't been, a regular starter for them, has, seen time off the bench, most of his minutes off the bench. So, not the worst. Frosinone is a team that just got promoted, or just got relegated either last season or the season before from Serie A. So definitely a club that, is a pretty good club. They're not a club that, some of those clubs in Serie B are, playing on the brink of bankruptcy, or, they're just not in the best situations, just like kind of the teams in the second division over in Spain. We had Shaq Moore's club last year disband because they couldn't pay their players. So, definitely a team that has a lot of competition. So I don't think it's, that big of a deal that Andrija is not, an every game starter for them. But he's gotten minutes for them this year. So far this season, he only has, I believe, 3 assists, and now this one goal this past weekend, and 2 of the assists came this past weekend as well. So in 11 games, he only had 1 assist. So good to see him getting on the pitch semi-regularly for them, but definitely does need to produce more. And we saw that last year with him at Sittard over in the Eredivisie. He does have goals in him, so we'll have to see if he can find that mojo again and find his feet. Hopefully this big game will help him do that. And fans were pretty excited for him on Twitter and on Instagram from some of the comments we saw. I know we saw someone comment on our last video of him too. So it seems like he's still in good standing with the club, and he's not a player that's kind of lost the faith of the fans. So that's very good. That's not that's not a problem so far. So I think just give it time with Andrija. We've seen at Telstar and at Fortuna Sittard that if you give him opportunities, he continues to get better and kind of rises to the challenges that he faces, and conquers them in the end. So I think the more minutes he plays over in Italy, I think the more accustomed he'll get to the game, and just the playing style over there is a little bit different, and probably very different from the Netherlands, where over in Italy it's more a defense-centered game, it seems like, and a slower pace. Where in the Eredivisie it's more about possession and more play in the final third. So I'm not sure if we haven't seen Andrija with the USMNT recently. I think he's still, like we said, finding his feet in Italy. So I think it's fair that he hasn't been called up so far this year, or so far since he's moved to Frosinone. Right now with our striker situation, it almost seems like we should be gambling on players from time to time. But I think it's okay. Andrija's time, I think, will come, especially if he puts in work on his game and kind of can take his game to the next level here at Frosinone. Anything's possible. The club could get promoted. He could become, a good player for them in Serie A, and climb up the depth charts there and for the USMNT. So I think right now, it's good. I think he needs to focus on his time at Frosinone, and if he can produce, I think we'll give him the call. So that's it for Andrija this week. Let's hope we can talk more about him. It's been a little while now, so let's hope Andrija can keep getting his name on the score sheet. And now let's move over to France and talk about another player who we've been following for a while. We've brought up in small doses, but we thought it's time to finally give him a segment on this first part of our episode, and that would be Nick Gioacchini. So Nick is a player who was in the DC United Academy for a period of time, went over to France, played for Paris FC in their youth academy, then transferred to SM Caen over in Ligue 2, Ligue 2. I can never remember if it's Trois or Do, but I took Spanish in high school. I didn't take French. So but Nick has made his first team debut this season. I believe we brought that up in a few episodes ago now. So really no news there, no new news. And the thing we did want to bring up is he scored yet again this past weekend. So and actually it was on Monday. So Nick, I guess I'll start here. So Nick when he made his debut, played four consistent games for them following that debut. Then in that fourth game, he kind of had a little bit of a rough game. Looking at the stats, he completed only 52% of his passes and also lost possession 19 times. So not very good. That was, I believe, his game on November 22nd against it was either Lens or Le Mans, and that was in a 3-3 draw. So, a game that was kind of crucial. Caen at the moment are kind of in the bottom half of the League 2 table. So, any game for them and any points they can pick up is really crucial and vital. So, that was not the most impressive game. And after that game, he came off the bench in their fifth game after he made his debut. So definitely it seemed like, he kind of fell off and got relegated to a role on the bench just for that game. But in that game, he came on, did well, and Caen were able to pick up a 1-1 draw with Guingamp, who's a team that was just in Ligue 1 last year. So, definitely a tough opponent, and Caen were able to, come away with a point in that game. And, Nick was able to help them accomplish that goal. And so with that, better performance under his belt, Caen gave him another start on Monday, and he scored in this game. He scored their game winner. So Caen ended up beating AS Nancy 1-0 and picked up, all 3 points. So, I think this whole situation kind of shows the good resiliency and kind of mentality that Nick Gioacchini has. It's tough as a young player. When you get your first minutes, you're, raring at the bit, wanting to get more and more and more. And he scored that, that first goal in his debut, and people were really excited about him, at the club, and just some of the social media stuff they've been putting out about him. He's definitely a prospect that, they're excited about, and fans are also excited about. So, it's really cool to see him get those starts consistently. Bad games happen. They happen for any young player. They happen, they're going to happen. So to see him, have one of those games, kind of, get dropped from the team, but then make an impression in his next chance. I think that's, a really exciting thing. And I think that's, something that can really speak to his character and, the type of mentality that he has. I think the biggest thing that, people said about Christian Pulisic, Josh Sargent, Tyler Adams, when they went abroad, all the sporting directors, the scouts at all those Bundesliga clubs, they said the biggest thing that set those players apart from their counterparts is their mentality. So, it seems that, their mentality has really helped them kind of take their games to the next level. And it seems like Nick Gioacchini has, a similar mentality. And, it's seeming like he's finding success so far in his young professional career. So let's hope, he can follow in those footsteps. But, so far this season now, Nick Gioacchini has 2 goals in 6 games for Caen. And, this was a big game for them. Like I said, Caen were in the bottom half of the table there over in France. So picking up 3 points, very big. And, that can only bode well for him and hopefully more playing time. So, we didn't really get to see too much. We did see the goal, and I think we're going to put it in the video here if there's not copyright flags. But, it was basically he played like a 1-2, I would say. And then, the ball came back to him, and he shot it basically right through the goalkeeper's legs, if I'm not mistaken. So, not the cleanest of scoring opportunities and scoring, goal scoring plays, but definitely, I would say good strength to win that ball in the first part, and then, just good disposition to put the chance away. So, I do think, from seeing some of the highlights of Nick so far, and we haven't been able to see too much, so we're only going on a small sample size here. He definitely looks like a physical player. He's got a very impressive frame for a striker. He's only 19 years old, but he looks very mature and, plays somewhat physically from what we've seen. The only thing that I think he really needs to work on is some of that first touch and, just his touch on the ball. It doesn't seem as clean as it could be or as it should be. I believe that first goal he scored in his debut was kind of off a scuffed shot, which, it wasn't a shot that he was shooting around it, like in traffic. He was kind of by himself and scuffed the shot, but it still went in. So, I definitely think, just because he's starting, I'm not sure if if we really should be looking at him for a full USMNT call-up. I know some people are saying that he should be on the US U23s, but, we have the Olympic qualifying as our next event as of right now. So not sure if it would be the smartest move to call him in just for, not even just for, but call him in for our biggest, opportunity to go to the Olympics in 8 years. So, I don't know. Maybe he's good enough for that, and I'm not giving him enough credit, and maybe not rating him as highly as we should be. But I just think that at the moment right now, I would maybe call in some other players at striker over him just because of the continuity, and we've been able to see more of them. It might take longer for him to integrate into the team. But hey, March is a long way away. If Nick can continue to, get game time and score more goals, and we get to see more of them, and coaches get to see more of them, then maybe he is an option for that team and really could be a difference maker for us. But yeah, we'll keep you updated on Nick. Nick's been someone that we brought up, I think, last season, or maybe even the season before of our episodes, and has definitely been a player that we've tried to keep tabs on as best we can. And now it's really cool to see him, all his hard work finally paying off. So we'll report back if Nick does anything else in his next few games. So with that, we're going to move over to the Netherlands and talk about Sergino Dest. So Sergino, like Christian Pulisic, started and played all 90 minutes for Ajax in their midweek Champions League game, and that was a 2-0 win over Leal. So in this game, Sergino did a really good job combining going forward again. For Ajax's first goal early in the game, he had a really nice over the head kick to keep the ball in play, and it kind of really set Ajax's, goal scoring play in motion, and was a really smart play and also a really skillful play. And just in this game, he played very well, very consistent. Ajax saw a good amount of the ball in this game, and like I said, he did a really good job getting forward. Just playing possession soccer, the thing that he's really good at doing. He was able to really showcase in this game. He did finish with a 7.9 rating on FootMob, so he was one of the best players on the pitch on the day, and Ajax had a really good game. So really cool to see. Also cool to see him get another 90 minutes in the Champions League. That's really good for a 19-year-old to get the start in the Champions League for a team like Ajax. That's good. So going to the weekend, Serge didn't start, but he actually came off the bench in Ajax's 5-2 win and played 23 minutes. He got the start midweek, didn't get the start over the weekend, but it is what it is. He's getting playing time, still coming off the bench, which for a right back, it's not something you see all the time. So definitely think that's very good. In this game, he also played as a left back, so giving him more experience at that position, I think, is always a plus. And in Ajax's recent games, he's been playing more as a right back. So definitely interesting to see him get back in there at left back. I think the more time we can get him there, the better, especially with our left back situation right now. So just to real quickly here, look over his season so far, now that we're getting down to December here, and some of the breaks that'll be coming up. It's really impressive to see Sergino's rise this season. He's played 1,249 minutes in 19 games this year. So that's also games in the Champions League and games in the Eredivisie. So really impressive that, at 19 years old, he's already played 1,200 minutes, and we're, just starting December here. Looking back at his career last year, he was just starting to get minutes for young Ajax in the Eredivisie, or the Eerste, excuse me. So definitely, just speaks volumes to the big leap he's taken this year. And, just the confidence that Ajax has been having with him this year. I think, that's really impressive. And, it's still, just great that we're going to have him on our team now for, his whole career. And, still happy about that. So, that's all for Sergio this week. We'll make sure we keep an eye on him, again this weekend, and report back with what he does. Now moving on to our final player for today, and another new player that we haven't really talked much about, and that would be Owen Otasowie. So Owen is a center back for Wolverhampton Wanderers, and the big impressive thing that he did this week was he actually made the bench twice for their first team. He made the bench for their team against Braga in the Europa League on Thursday, and then also followed that up and made the bench for their first team against Sheffield United over the weekend. So, kind of coming out of nowhere. Definitely a player who has, I would say, a good rep in England. He's a player that's had several transfer rumors about him to some of the bigger teams in Europe. I think PSG and Arsenal were two teams linked to him. So, he's an 18-year-old center back, someone who was playing for their U18s, Wolverhampton's U18s, and then got moved up just a few months ago to their U23s and was playing a lot of games for their U23s. So, the U23 level in England is kind of the England that's development's prioritized at, I would say. And, the players, or I should say the younger players who are kind of fast-tracked into those teams are usually the prospects that are pretty good, or, teams will be looking at. So I guess with that move, it really speaks volumes to his, his standing in the club and how the club views him as a prospect. And, really cool to see him make the bench for Wolverhampton. They do have several injuries to center backs. I believe Willy Bolly is out, and he's one of their best center backs. And I believe there's one other center back. So it looks like Wolverhampton are kind of relying on some youthful subs. I know they have one other English defender, or young English defender that they're bringing with them to games, and I think he also played in the Premier League this weekend. So definitely it seems like that injury crisis, or maybe not crisis, but some of those injuries at center back have helped Owen move up the depth chart, and potentially could give him an opportunity to impress Nuno Espirito Santos there at Wolverhampton. So we'll see if he makes his debut. I believe Wolverhampton play tomorrow on Wednesday. I'm not exactly sure what team they play. I want to say maybe Burnley. No, they play West Ham tomorrow. So, we'll see if he even makes the bench for that game. It very well could have just been, with these injuries and maybe with players out of form, or maybe there's some other injuries that we don't know about. Maybe he was just brought as insurance, and was kind of a player that was told you'll be on the bench, but you may, or you most likely will not play at all. We'll play someone else over you. So we'll see. It's definitely good to see him get on the bench, because it definitely raises his rep a little bit. But Owen's also a player who can play for England and Nigeria. So with raising that rep, we should be a little concerned about his other options maybe. But heck, if he wants to play for us, like he's played for us in the past, and it seems like he's committed to the US at the moment. If he can make his Premier League debut, I'll be very excited and happy about it. So that's all to report on Owen at the moment. So we'll keep our eyes out and report back with any updates. And now it's time for Quick Kicks.
So you could test Dwayne Miller. It's out to the over the wall, and
So to start off quick kicks today, we want to take you guys over to Germany and let you know that Gio Reyna scored a goal midweek for BVB U19s in their 2-1 win over Barcelona's U19s, and that was in the UEFA Youth League. Then over the weekend, Gio followed that performance up with another goal, and that was in BVB U19's 3-1 win. So great week for Gio, scored 2 goals, and hopefully that Dortmund debut is coming. We'll see what the winner holds. Now, staying in Germany, we want to let you guys know that Weston McKennie started and played all 90 minutes in Schalke's 2-1 win over Union Berlin. Staying in Germany, we also want to let you guys know that Josh Sargent came off the bench and played 14 minutes for Werder Bremen, but that was in their big 3-2 win over Wolfsburg. So, Wolfsburg is a team that's been doing well this year, and good to see Bremen get the 3 points on the day. Now going over to England, we want to let you guys know that Duane Holmes started and played 90 minutes yet again for Derby County, and that was in their 1-1 draw with QPR. Now going over to the Netherlands, we want to let you guys know that Richy Ledezma started and played 82 minutes for Young PSV, and that was in a 3-2 win on Friday. And I would definitely suggest going over to Scuff's Scuff's Twitter page and checking out some highlights for that game. Richy Ledezma has had troubles this year finding goals and assists, and I think it's mostly been a byproduct of the team he's been playing with. He had some really nice moments in this game, and they're definitely worth a look. Now, staying in the Netherlands, we want to let you guys know that Alex Mendez started and played only the first half again, and that was in Young Ajax's 3-2 win. So not sure what the case is with him just playing the first half, but it happened again this weekend. So we'll try to, dig more into that and see if there's any reason for that. Now going back to Germany, we want to let you guys know that Chris Richards started and played all 90 minutes for Bayern 2 in their 3-2 loss to Carl Zeiss Jena, and that's in the 3 Liga. Now going over to Austria, we want to let you guys know that Erik Palmer-Brown started yet again and played all 90 minutes for Austria Wien, and that was in their 5-0 win. Now, going back to England, we want to let you guys know that Antonee Robinson actually started and played 90 minutes in Wigan's 3-1 loss to Reading. Staying again in England, we have Cameron Carter-Vickers. Cameron started and played all 90 minutes for Stoke in their 2-1 loss to Blackburn. And going over to Matt Miazga, Matt actually started and played all 90 minutes for Reading, and that was in their 3-1 win over Wigan. So, our Yas over in the championship looks like getting consistent starts and, playing time. So that's always good. Now, going over to Germany, we have some positive news that's kind of a follow-up from last week's episode, and that would be that Tyler Adams is finally back in team training. So it was announced on Tuesday on RB Leipzig's Twitter and Instagram pages that, he was back. And, he looked, really excited to be back with the guys. I saw they were, kind of getting into it with some ear flicks in one of the training drill as a punishment. So definitely cool to see him back on the pitch, and looks like he's in good spirits. So let's hope, we see him back on the field very soon. I'm not sure if, we'll see him this weekend, but hopefully the weekend after, at least the weekend after we'll see him in the 18, hopefully. And, we can see him in 2020 for a lot of minutes. So, Now going over to Belgium, we want to let you guys know that Chris Durkin finally made his debut for Sint-Truiden. And he basically came on for the final 3 minutes of their game with Genk, and they actually won that game 2-1. So good to finally see Chris getting on the field over in Belgium and making his European debut. Always good. Welcome to the Ya squad. And finally, we want to let you guys know that Patrick Leal scored a goal for Sporting CP's U17s, and that was in a 6-0 win. So congrats to Patrick. And that's it for our episode today, guys. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to our channel down below. And make sure you check out our awesome Twitter and Instagram pages. We've been more and more active on our Instagram, trying to let you guys know whenever a transfer rumor happens, or someone scores a goal, has an assist. has a training stint somewhere, we always try to let you guys know on our Instagram page. So definitely give both of those pages a follow. And another good week, I'd say. We had some players who we haven't heard much from make some noise this week. And, we've seen a lot of players get consistent starts over in Europe, which is, very good, especially going into the winter here and going into a crucial 2020 where, the U23s will need to, qualify for the Olympics. And hopefully, a lot of these players that we're talking about will be on that Olympic team. So, with that being said, all this leads up to that one final thing, and that would be one day we will win the World Cup.